Hi, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to watch Domestic Violence Assessment and myPlan. This is the second part of my three-part Survivor Link domestic violence training. I do encourage you to go back and watch Domestic Violence 101 if you have not already watched that one, as this training will be building off of that one. However, if you're more interested in the assessment, safety planning area of domestic violence, then you are more than welcome to stay and watch this one. So, to introduce myself again, my name is Lydia Phelps. I am one of the MSW interns within the regulatory and licensing section. I'm a student at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. I am also a part of the Survivor Link program, which is a partnership with AmeriCorps. Our mission is to build capacity within our MSW practicum placements to respond to domestic violence in an appropriate and trauma-informed way. So now's the time to fill out the pretest. This is very important. I need participants to fill this out in order to get credit. So you can either scan the QR code or click the link in the email. Some important things to remember when you're filling that out, make sure you're paying attention to the spelling of your name between the pre and the post test, as that's how they link the two tests. Make sure you're putting my name in there as the trainer, Lydia Phelps, and make sure you are spelling out your agency. So don't put in NCDSS, put in North Carolina Division of Social Services. So pause now and fill that out. So, to talk a little bit more about the mission of SurvivorLink, the majority of survivors are engaged in services outside of domestic violence advocacy, which is essentially why SurvivorLink was created in order to build capacity within different MSW practicum placements in order to better respond to domestic violence and get education on um, interventions, advocacy efforts, etc. Another thing we're touching on is trauma-informed assessment. Trauma-informed assessment looks like listening, validating, and honoring individual victims' experiences of victimization, asking things like, what happened? How has this experience affected you? For someone living with violence, asking is helpful. This kind of goes into the social work values, treating people in a non-judgmental way. And this is also taught in North Carolina child welfare in our pre-service trainings, that we're to approach people and treat them with dignity and respect, regardless of their experiences. And this is especially important when we are looking to not traumatize our clients even more, because inherently interacting with a child welfare system is traumatic. So the approach that we go about working with individuals and each other, it should be in a respectful and trauma-informed way. So, some common screening tools related to domestic violence, these are listed here. These are the five most common screening tools. There was a study completed that showed that these tools proved to be acceptable in assessing for domestic violence. And I do have that article, and I will attach it to the email if you are interested in reading more about these assessment tools. So HITS, hurt, insult, threaten, and scream is the assessment tool most often used by medical providers. It's often used by family physicians or in family practice offices. This survey is four questions asking how often does your partner physically hurt you? How often does your partner insult you or talk down to you? How often does your partner threaten you with harm? And how often does your partner scream or curse at you? It only takes a moment to ask and can make a huge difference for survivors when we are assessing for domestic violence. Our jobs as professionals is to believe our clients when they uh, self-disclose their abuse. Our job isn't to judge or question. Our job is to simply believe them and get them the appropriate help. We can re-traumatize people by not believing when they disclose abuse or by judging them when they disclose the abuse. So, moving on to myPlan, which is a tech solution to expand access to assessment and support for intimate partner violence. This app was created by Dr. Jill Messing, who is a professor and researcher at Arizona State University. She was one that kind of spearheaded the SurvivorLink program. Arizona State is where it initially started. So this was created. Um, with the intention of bringing education and resources to providers, advocates, and survivors. So, what is my plan? My plan uses technology to address intimate partner violence by helping survivors make safety decisions tailored to their situation. So this app was developed over the course of 15 years in partnership with survivors and advocates. It is based on the science of decision making. It is backed by research. There's been studies looking at the impact of the use of the app and safety decisions made by individuals who use the app. The research findings for this study showed decreased decisional conflict for users, increased perceived support, increased certainty for college aged women. It showed a decrease in reproductive coercion. And as a refresher from Domestic Violence 101, reproductive coercion is the misuse of condoms on purpose, coercion into getting an abortion when you don't want one, or not getting an abortion when you do want one, or not being forthcoming about birth control methods or lying about birth control methods. Those are some examples of reproductive coercion for college women. It also showed a decreased risk of suicide and depression. Long-term outcomes showed decreased depression, decreased exposure to violence, found more safety behaviors to be helpful. Users were more likely to leave the abuser safely and overall increased resilience in users. So, a question that people often have when talking about my plan is it safe? Because abusers often misuse technology or they use technology to monitor, control, or harm their partners. So it is important that we do our best to make sure survivors that use technology have privacy and safety. So I'm going to go a bit about the safety considerations that SurvivorLink has done to kind of enhance safety for the users. So, and we can't 100% always guarantee that they are going to be safe using it. These are just some precautions in place. So, starting with when you first open the app, it will ask you for a PIN. So you would want to put in a PIN that is easily remembered or one that wouldn't be known by the abuser. And there's also the option for a dummy PIN. If needed, put in 4 zeros and it'll take you to this screen, which is makes the app seem like it is a more to-do list, organizational type app. There's also a quick exit feature, which will again take you to the to-do list organizational type. This is the default icon for the app, which is a leaf, but you can change it to make it look more organizational with a clock or the shapes here. And the app is also available in Spanish. And when switching tabs or swiping out of them, it automatically goes blank. So that can't be seen when closing out or changing to a different tab. MyPlan is also a free and confidential and personalized app. It's designed to increase access to personalized safety information for people experiencing abuse from a partner or an ex partner. There is no advertisements, there's no charge to download it, there's no data collection. The only data that is collected is the number of downloads. So I want to give you some time to download the app if you choose to do so and kind of familiarize yourself with it. Create a PIN. You can scan this QR code or you can go to the App Store and look up My Plan. The icon will look like this little leaf when it pulls up. And you can also go to directly to the website. And the website name is myplanapp.org. So pause this video if you need and download the app. So we're gonna click through the app and familiarize ourselves with it. You can fill out the assessment information based off of this case study here, or you can do it off of yourself, a previous partner, a previous client, a friend you know, or family member. That is completely up to you. But if you would like to use this case study, you can pause and read it. And I'm also going to read it aloud. You are Jasmine, a 22-year-old college student in a lesbian relationship. You do not live with your partner because you are busy with your job, but your partner has recently become possessive. She tries to control what you wear and who you see, and she can become intense quickly. You do not have any children, but you have a cat that you care about, and your partner has threatened to hurt your cat when she is mad. You are unsure if you want to remain in the relationship, but your safety is your top priority, followed by your academics. She has a problem with abusing drugs and has tried to pressure you into taking them with her. The violence has never gotten physical, but she gaslights you and threatens to hurt you when she doesn't get her way. So, if you have got the app downloaded, go ahead and create your PIN. And first, we're going to look at the different sections of the My Plan. You can fill out the basics of the relationship and yourself, answer, fill out an assessment that asks, is your relationship toxic, or assesses if the toxicity of the relationship. There's another assessment that assesses the dangerousness of your relationship. It'll help you get clarity on your priorities. Then it'll cater to your answers will cater to the strategies and resources and also help you identify the positive aspects of your relationship. So as far as the basics, my plan uses data to provide users with resources based on their situation. So if we were answering this in terms of Jasmine from the case study, we would say, yes, she's a college student. Yes, she is employed. Yes, she identifies as LGBTQ. No, there is no children involved. Yes, there is a pet. And I don't believe there was any special cultural considerations listed in the case study. So we would answer those questions based off that or off of whatever relationship you are choosing to base the questions on. Another aspect of the app is a feelings check-in to get a little motivation if you're feeling down. Believe this is the section that was assessing and looking at the depression scores. So the first assessment you're going to take is my relationship. This assessment helps gain clarity about the health and safety of the relationship. So here's an example of one of the questions up here, and I encourage you to click through it yourself. One of these questions is, does he not respect your decisions? Does he convince you to do things you don't want to do, make threats to get his way? And you would answer those questions. I believe they're all yes or no. Another assessment is the danger assessment, and this assessment is to help the user understand the risk factors for a serious injury or homicide. Um, I want to encourage you to click through those again and see what the outcome of the assessment gives you, either based on the case study or your own personal examples. And going back to domestic violence 101, one of the things it assesses for is that strangulation, because strangulation has happened in a relationship or an abusive relationship, the risk for homicide is significantly higher. So this is what an example of what an outcome would look like uh, on the feedback of their level of danger. So for this example, the score is 15. So that's teetering on extreme and the high level of severe. So the results say your X shows sign of being potentially dangerous. You are at risk of being seriously injured. Take steps now to protect yourself, and then it gives some strategies on steps you can take to keep yourself safe. And if you had put in the basics that you had children, it would take steps for to keep yourself and your children safe. The priority section of the assessment piece. This is was taken from the medical field. In the medical field, they use this to help patients make difficult medical decisions. And Dr. Jill Messing and the other researchers translated it over to for survivors to make decisions about their priorities when it comes to their safety in the relationship. Um, and this can help them get clarity on what their priorities are. And I especially like this, especially in the realm of child welfare, because I mean, it doesn't matter if you can tell a client till you're blue in the face, like this person is unsafe for you or your kids. And sometimes it can be helpful to have an objective app like this or something to sit down and explain to them, like, what their priorities are, help them think through it on their own. I think it is a helpful tool in that aspect, but it can have different priorities, so it'll have them sort out their priorities, ask them different questions. I encourage you to go through it and to assess like what your priorities are, or maybe what Jasmine's priorities would be. I believe the safety of children is one of them. Feelings for the other person, their own safety, their own health, their education. Those are the list of different priorities in the settings. So these strategies for safety and well-being are personalized based on what is inputted into the basics and the risk assessment, the danger assessment, the priorities, and this connects you with national or local resources. There's a section where you can put in your zip code to get the most local resources. And yeah, and encourage you again, click through that, see what um, is available, put your own zip code in there, see what resources are available. And some of these resources are not only specific to domestic violence, they can be other resources, um, housing, mental health. It is an excellent resource to find other resources. There's also a section of the app with more education about the dynamics of healthy and abusive relationships, just more educational purposes of the app. And that concludes us going through the app. So, some questions to consider. What strategies populated for you in your safety plan? How do you think these strategies could help Jasmine if she was the case study that you used and going through the app? How can advocates use myPlan with survivors? And then specifically, how could child welfare workers use myPlan to work with survivors? Is this something they could incorporate in a case plan? Is this something they could use to help with safety planning? I think there's a variety of ways that child welfare workers can use this as a resource in working with survivors. Here's some feedback from survivors who use the app. This app may have saved my life. I never thought of putting together a safety plan before. It gave a lot of solid, concrete advice as to what to do for a friend. People don't know what to say or how to say it. I really do not think I would have had the courage to change my circumstances if it was not for the app. Once I finally understood how deadly the situation actually was, I left. I had not gotten the info from my plan. We would still be living in fear. And there's a toolkit that goes along with this. And if you are interested in getting more resources, please reach out to me and I can send them to you. And here is another plug for the app. You can follow them on Instagram or Facebook, visit their website. And circling back to trauma informed approaches, when we are working with survivors, we want to create a safe and welcoming environment. We want to approach survivors with a non shaming, non blaming, and non violent attitude. We want to respect privacy and confidentiality. We want to remove those cultural stereotypes and biases regarding race, ethnicity, sexual orientation, age, religion, and gender. We want to build rapport and trust. We want to provide gender responsive services. And finally, ensure when someone discloses abuse, appropriate help is given, respective of ability, language, gender, and sexual identity. So that brings us to the end of this training. Please scan the QR code or click the link in the email and fill out the post-test survey. Again, make sure you're spelling your name the same as you did on the pre-test so they can link the surveys. Spell out the agency name. Make sure you put my name in there. Again, this is so important for me to get credit for delivering these trainings, and I appreciate it so much. Thank you.